Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the corner where we breathe, live, and whisper everything that makes our hearts race. Today, we open the curtain on a duo whose connection has sent thousands of butterflies flying through screens and into living rooms, Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yagis. That headline you clicked, the one hinting at pure emotion and the little gesture that makes Özge's heart flutter, is not just a catchy phrase. It's the thread we'll follow as we retrace looks, pauses, and moments that seem to say more than any declaration ever could. If you adore love stories that feel both cinematic and real, settle in, because tonight we're going straight into the quiet language only two people truly in sync can speak. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the warmth, the drama, and the sparkle we serve every day from the world of Turkish showbiz. We're not here to dissect characters or plot twists. We're here for them as they are. Not the scripted versions, but the souls who carry themselves with grace amid the noise. They're both admired for their talent, their discipline, their power to hold a scene and leave it echoing after the cut. But what makes fans linger isn't just what happens when the camera rolls. It's what happens between the takes, the whispers at the edge of a frame, the way an honest smile lingers a second longer than necessary. Those small signs, the ones you almost miss if you blink, tell the story of something genuine. Let's return to where so many felt the spark first. It was on the set of Yamin, The Promise, where they stepped into the lives of Amir and Reyhan. The pairing was magnetic. Every glance seemed charged, every hesitation felt thick with meaning, every hand reaching toward the other carried the ache and hope of a love people root for because it reminds them of what they want to find in the real world. It wasn't just chemistry for the sake of a scene, it felt like two frequencies tuning in, clearing static until all that remained was the hum of connection. The inevitable question arose, was it only acting, or was there something else trailing behind every take? Watch closely enough, and the answer starts to feel simple. Because when the lights cooled and the set emptied, the tenderness didn't vanish. We saw Gökberk's steady, grounded presence and the way it softened whenever Özge spoke. He carries that quiet kind of charm, the kind you notice not because it shouts, but because it makes room for someone else's light to shine brighter. And Özge, with that calm intensity and luminous poise, seemed to find a safe harbor at his side, a place where laughs come easier and words don't have to fight to be heard. It's the little things, a hand near the small of her back guiding but not controlling, a glance that lands and stays, a breath shared before stepping into the flash of a camera. You've seen those joint interviews, right? One speaks, the other listens like the words are rain on dry soil. There's a reverence in that. Often, it's Gökberk who turns slightly toward her, giving her the invisible stage even when they're sitting shoulder to shoulder. He's done this subtle gesture that fans can't stop talking about. As she begins to talk, he places a hand over his heart for the briefest beat, eyes softening as if to say, I'm here, and I mean this. It's so simple. In that flutter of a second, Özge's smile warms, her posture loosens, and suddenly the room, the microphones, the chaos, all of it fades. And when she leans into him, lightly, like a secret feather landing, there's comfort written in the curve of her lips and the ease in her laugh. Then comes the world we all scroll through, the social media age, where love slips out in captions and snapshots. Birthdays, moments in between projects, random Tuesdays that need a little glow, somehow, without shouting it, they manage to celebrate each other. When he writes about her, it's the admiration that stands out. It's not just beautiful, though she clearly is. It's talented, dedicated, braver than mornings, the kind of praise that feels like it's been earned, day by day. She responds in kind, acknowledging his strength, his steadiness, that unpretentious spirit that makes people feel like they're seen and safe. Watching it is like being handed a small candle in the dark, warm, steady, and enough to make you believe. There's a particular look of his that fans have saved, reposted, watched on loop. It's the look he gives when she laughs mid-answer, when she tries to downplay her achievements and he won't let her. A hint of awe, a spark that says, I know exactly how hard you worked for this. It's not the gaze of a man fascinated by a face, it's the gaze of someone who sees a story. Her persistence, the long hours, the tears swallowed and the smiles saved for later. you can't fake that kind of knowing. It's born from time, from listening, from being there when the glitz is gone and the only applause is a deep breath that finally lands. The best part is how openly they champion each other's growth. This industry is dazzling and merciless in equal measure. Projects collide, schedules stretch until they fray, and people are forever comparing numbers and names. But with them, you feel no edge, no tug of war. When he steps onto a new set, you sense her pride like a banner caught in the wind. When she prepares for a premiere, he's in the wings making sure the path is clear, the moment hers. That kind of partnership is rarer than it should be. It turns ambition into a shared horizon. On red carpets and under those brutal lights, the chivalry is never performative. You see him check the hem of her dress without fuss, adjust his position so a photographer can catch her best angle, create space that says, "Look at her." In return, she glows, not because he props her up but because he knows when to step back and when to stand firm beside her. That balance is a dance few master. The music is attention. The steps are grace. And then there's the stillness when she's speaking. The way he seems to fold the world down to a quiet square where only her words land, one after another, like pearls placed in his palm. You know a love is sturdy when silence carries it comfortably. He doesn't rush to interject or polish a sentence. He lets her finish, and the pause afterward is full of respect, as if he wants the echo to settle before anything else begins. There have been dedications that slipped into public view, words meant for one person but shared with all of us, perhaps because love sometimes needs to be said out loud. Messages about how she changed the shape of his days, how his patience learned a new language, how her kindness brightened corners he didn't realize had dimmed. Her replies, gentle and precise, speak to gratitude and wonder, that partnership can be both soft and strong, that a person can push you forward while giving you a hand to hold. What makes it all resonate is how carefully they navigate the spotlight without letting it blind them. Fame always wants more. More access, more detail, more of the parts that should remain unsaid. But they have drawn lines that feel healthy and wise. Share what's joyful, protect what's sacred. Offer glimpses, never the whole vault. And when rumors flare like sudden summer storms, they favor calm over commentary. The steadiness itself becomes an answer. Let's rewind to those early days one more time, because first pages matter. Imagine the original table read. Fidgeting scripts, coffee gone lukewarm, the hush that always follows the director's voice. Gökberk and Özge meet the eyes of characters they'll carry for months, maybe years. There's a moment, blink and you miss it, where a line lands perfectly and a stillness hangs in the room. Somebody coughs. A page turns. And yet the feeling remains, two notes just found harmony. Between takes, they share a joke under their breath. He laughs with his jaw tilted down, like laughter is something precious to be kept close. She hides a smile that still reaches her eyes. Crew members notice. The camera catches what words can't quite name. Fans tuned in week after week for the story on screen, but the loyal ones stayed for the micro moments that slipped past the plot. A behind-the-scenes clip of him offering her tea, waiting until she takes the first sip before he lets his shoulders relax. A photo where she fixes his collar without thinking, her hand falling away as if that gesture had 1,000 rehearsals. Little things. That's how the heart recognizes itself, in the repetition of care. And that gesture we mentioned, the one that seems to make everyone collectively hold their breath? It appears again and again, almost like instinct. She begins, he touches his heart, drops his gaze for half a second, then looks back up at her like he's tuning himself to the sound of her voice. Sometimes he adds a quiet after you when a journalist fires two questions at once. The way her features soften in response, the way confidence flows back into her shoulders, this is love doing what love does best, making space. There was a press day when the questions piled up and the air felt like it might crack. Cameras everywhere, noise skipping from wall to wall. She inhaled, stilled, half a second, no more. He shifted just enough that their elbows touched under the table. Something passed between them, a signal born of practice and attention. She exhaled, smiled, and answered with grace. Later, fans slowed the footage down, circled the moment, and wrote paragraphs about it. Maybe that's dramatic. Or maybe we all know the value of someone who meets your storm with an anchor. On difficult shooting days, when scripts changed last minute and the night stretched so long it swallowed morning, you'd catch him lingering on the edge of a set he didn't need to be on anymore, chatting with crew, pretending to have business just to stay close until her scene wrapped. They left together, the hum of the lot fading, the cold air greeting them like a promise that the day was done. He'd whisper something, no one could hear the words, but her grin gave it away. Relief is a beautiful thing when it's shared. When work took them down separate paths, the devotion didn't fray. A bouquet arrives with a note that's not for us to read. A premiere seat left open until the last possible minute, then warmed by a familiar presence slipping in quietly. Online, a like here, a comment there, sweet but measured. Their support has a rhythm, steady, not performative. It reads like something built to last. There's also the way they talk about craft. Each speaks with respect for the other's process. Not possessive, not competitive, never framing love as a tug-of-war for attention. When she describes getting into character, he looks like a student, learning. When he discusses how he prepares for a scene, she nods with the certainty of someone who understands the muscle beneath the smile. A partnership like that helps talent breathe easier. It gives ambition a home to return to. We can't ignore the elegance they bring to public life. On carpets, he sweeps an eye across the path ahead like it's his job to make sure she never has to look down to see if the ground is clear. She holds her head high, not as a performance, but because she's protected. Those images travel the world. People line up the photographs and write little stories in the captions. It's romantic. It's old-fashioned in the best way. And it is also thoroughly modern, two equals, choosing each other over and over, without needing to reduce themselves to fit. Through it all, their privacy remains intact, and that boundary makes the parts they do share shine brighter. A laugh with no context. A hand held unreleased just before the shutter clicks. A corner of a birthday cake, a snippet of a song played off-key on a sleepy morning. They know that intimacy is not what you reveal, it's what you protect. And they protect it like it's the spine of the whole story. If we're searching for a reason this couple fascinates, maybe it's because their love looks like work done with joy. It's kindness made habitual. It's admiration that doesn't dim when the lights do. The gesture we keep returning to, the hand to the heart, the quiet after you, the way he tilts the world a little so she's centered, those are threads woven through every scene, every interview, every walk past the cameras. In return, her glow, her ease, the way she steadies him with a single look. These are the answers that keep being given without a single word spoken. So yes, the story began on set, as good stories often do, but it became something deeper in the spaces no scriptwriter could plan. Rehearsals that ran long, meals shared in tired silence, tears laughed off at 2 a.m. because sometimes there's nothing else to do. The chemistry we saw on screen was a promise. The life we glimpse beyond it is the fulfillment of that promise, delivered quietly, carefully, beautifully. And to you, watching from the glow of your own screen, maybe this is the reminder you needed: love is not always a grand gesture. Sometimes it's the hand over a heart. Sometimes it's a breath taken together. Sometimes it's a choice to listen all the way to the end. With Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yagais, we've watched that choice being made, again and again, until it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Thank you for sharing this moment with us at Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Tell me, which of their gestures lives rent-free in your mind? Is it the look he gives when she steals the room with a single sentence, or the way she answers him with a smile that could melt a winter sky? I'm reading everything you write. Like this video if it warmed your evening, pass it to the friend who needs a little proof that softness still wins, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you're first in line when the next chapter unfolds. Until then, keep your heart open, keep your eyes sharp, and never underestimate the power of a small, sincere gesture. Sometimes, that's the whole love story.